What are the 5 biggest lessons I've learned in the 20 years since my gastric bypass surgery? I've been thinking about that a lot lately because let me tell you, I've learned so much. A lot more than 5 things, but hey, I know you don't have all day, right? So we'll just stick to my top 5. I'll never forget the mixture of fear and excitement that filled me as I was getting prepped for surgery 20 years ago today. I remember thinking, wow, I could wake up a few hours from now with a whole new lease on life, or I might not wake up at all. Due to the state of my health at the time, which was, it was pretty awful for a 33-year-old, and due to the state of my life, which it wasn't much of one because I felt so bad about myself, I shut myself off from the world. For those 2 reasons, I believed surgery was worth the risk. And it turns out that for me, it was. So 20 years later, what are the biggest lessons learned? Lesson number 1, surgery works if you work it. 20 years later, and this little pouch of mine still works, and it works great. I still feel restriction. I still feel miserable if I eat too much sugar or too big of a portion. It still influences my choices. Yet, I can gain weight if I don't do my part. How do I know? Well, because I struggled with regain for many, many years. Just a little at first, but I eventually regained half of what I lost from surgery. Now, don't worry because the story has a happy ending, and I'm sure yours will too. But here's the deal. Weight loss surgery does not fix your thinking. It doesn't erase bad habits. It doesn't eradicate the urge to use food to feed your pain or emotions. It does not fix behaviors that don't align with right-size living. Surgery did not fix my addiction to hyperpalatable foods. That's the stuff with just the right combination of sugar, fat, salt, and carbs to get you hooked. My addict brain figured out how to cheat the system. I discovered slider foods. I figured out what I could get away with, like I might not be able to eat a lot of sugar or processed foods in one sitting, but I could graze on small quantities throughout the day without getting sick. Yes, the restriction is certainly a powerful tool even if you're not doing all the right things. I mean, yeah, at one point I had regained 50 pounds, but without surgery, I suspect I probably would have weighed twice as much today as I did when I went under the knife 20 years ago. Surgery is not a magic pill, but if you've had surgery, you already know that, right? It's not the easy way out like some people imply. You've got to do the work. You've got to change your thinking. You've got to change your habits and behaviors. I know it took me a lot of trial and error to figure it all out. In fact, it took me way over a decade to figure out how to lose all of my regain and keep it off. I was like the Sherlock Holmes of right-size living, figuring out the mysteries of regain and why I couldn't lose weight anymore with crash diets. Why it wasn't as simple as calories in, calories out. How my thinking and mindset had way more influence than I realized. But know this, if you do your part, even though I'll be the first to admit that it may not be always easy to figure out how to do your part, your pouch or your sleeve will work for you without dieting or drastic measures. Lesson number 2, if the scale goes up, don't panic. I know how terrifying it is when the numbers on the scale go up. I know how frustrating it is when the jeans start feeling a bit snug or when you go up a size. That first thought is, oh my gosh, I can't go back to how I was before surgery. You panic, right? And what happens when you panic? Well, for me, when I panicked, I went back to the stupid diet mentality because I didn't know anything else. And there I was back on the hamster wheel doing all this crazy dieting stuff, the deprivation, the drastic measures, the cardio queen routines. Yep. The worst thing you can do when your weight goes up is to panic and resort to dieting. It didn't work before surgery and it doesn't work any better after surgery. In fact, panicking and dieting typically have the exact opposite effect you're looking for. You know that dieting jacks up your metabolism, right? Dieting can actually end up doing more harm than good. And don't get me going on stress. If you stress out over regain, you might drive up your stress hormones and trigger cravings and mess up your metabolism even more. If you regain, remember this. stay calm. Yep, take a deep breath and stay calm. You've got to unpack that regain the same way you packed it. One thing at a time. One thought at a time. One behavior at a time. One habit at a time. One bite at a time. I know, probably not what you want to hear. We all want to be red carpet ready in the I Dream a Genie blink of an eye, but know this. Keep calm, unpack the regain one thing at a time, and you will get there faster than you think. Before I go on to the next lesson learned, if you're liking this content, I sure would appreciate it if you'd click the like button. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel. Lesson number 3, remember that every day is an opportunity to become a better version of yourself. Just because you lost a bunch of weight after surgery doesn't mean the journey is over. Oh no, we've still got a lot of work to do. Tony Robbins said, progress equals happiness. Just because you reach the destination known as right size doesn't mean life is going to magically transform into a fairy tale. The joy is in the journey, and I've discovered that right size living is a lifelong journey. I know we'd like to wash our hands of obesity, pretend it didn't happen, but like a car, your body and brain need regular tune-ups. In other words, you've got to be progressing every single day. Nurturing your mindset, nurturing your body, fine-tuning your environment to better serve you. I lost my 50 pounds of post-surgery regain back in 2017, and I am a work in progress every single day. No, I'm not obsessing, I'm not toiling, I'm not taking drastic measures to stay right size, but I am intentionally working on making progress in some way every day. As human beings, we are highly imperfect. No matter how close to perfect you are, you'll never run out of ways you can be just a little bit better. Maybe it's being a little kinder to yourself today. Maybe it's taking one extra step today. Maybe it's providing a shoulder for a bariatric buddy to lean on. Perhaps it's mixing up your nutrition a little different today. Perhaps it's getting one more minute of rest or sleep today. Every day is an opportunity to be just a little bit better version of yourself than you were yesterday. Lesson number 4, stay connected so you never forget. Never forget where you came from and all the work you've done to get where you are today. I think it's human nature to forget sometimes. We forget history and repeat it. We sometimes keep making the same mistakes over and over again. It's because when you're no longer living in the pain of obesity, it's easy to forget. It's easy to forget about the mental and physical anguish of living in a large body that holds you back from living the life you want. We have surgery, lose a bunch of weight, and then we go on our merry way. But I found that that's when you're most at risk of backsliding, when you forget. When you stop going to support groups because you're thinking, hey, I'm getting tired of this conversation, I've got this. Or maybe you disconnect from your surgeon and his or her bariatric team because you think you don't need them anymore. Or maybe you're like me. I disconnected when I started experiencing regain. I intentionally avoided support groups and my doctor because I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I turned away when I needed them the most, when they could have helped me turn things around. Whether you disconnect because you think you've got this on your own, or if you're scared and ashamed of having put on some weight, know this. Your bariatric community is essential to your success. It's when you walk away from the bariatric community that you lose your focus. You lose your connection to people who get it. You break connections with the professionals and peers that will help you get through the tough times. So whether you stay connected through social media, support groups, or the many bariatric organizations that are there to support us in this journey, stay connected to the bariatric community. It's essential to your continued success because we're not meant to walk this path alone. Lesson number 5, be grateful. Be grateful for what surgery has given you. I know each of our journeys are unique. What surgery has given you is different from what it's given me or anyone else. I know there are moments when it's really hard. Even when I was carrying around 50 pounds of regain, I was grateful. I'd say to myself, remember when you wanted what you currently have. Sure, I was up 50 pounds at the time, but you know what? That girl I was before surgery would have given just about anything to be that weight. It was more than my lowest post-surgery weight, but it was still a lot less than what I weighed before surgery. I could move better, breathe better, do more. But most of all, I was grateful that my tool still worked. I was grateful that I could learn, because being able to learn meant that I could figure out how to get rid of that regain. And I did. Right now, right here, 20 years later, I'm maintaining my weight within about 5 pounds of my lowest post-surgery weight. And I've been maintaining it for more than 4 years. A miracle, because since my first diet at just 8 years old, I had never maintained a weight loss for more than 6 months, not even after surgery, not until now. And I know that a lot of the credit goes to this amazing little pouch that a wonderful surgeon and her team made possible for me 20 years ago. In fact, I'm so grateful I'm sending out a thank you card to my surgeon today in celebration of my 20-year surgery. I'm thankful for all the ups and downs. I'm thankful for all of the lessons learned, lessons like this pouch still works 20 years later. That if the scale goes up, don't panic. Unpack it like you packed it, one thing at a time. Remember that every day is an opportunity to become an even better version of yourself. Stay connected to the bariatric community, because it will help you through the ups and downs. And always be grateful. 20 years post-surgery, and I am so grateful. I wouldn't be the person I am today without it. Until next time, my friends, live with purpose, live with courage, and live with delight.